Hey y'all, what's up? It's Jomai shouting and welcome to my channel. I know galang-gala na kayo. You miss going to places as much as I do. And so I thought of exploring 10 kinds of food from different countries around the globe using the least complicated ingredient of all and the national go-to dish for everyone in desperate times. Do you agree? For the third episode of my quarantine series, we're gonna be making 10 global omelets. And I'll be showing it to you by rank from my least favorite to my most favorite. Before we start, because you're watching this already, make sure to subscribe to my channel and it will surely make my day. But let me tell you that I am no expert at this, but all the recipes are very simple, very easy. You don't need to be an egg expert or a chef to do this. By the way, I will be showing throughout the video from where I copied the recipes because they are not my original recipes. And so I'm gonna take you to our kitchen now and let's get cracking the eggs, baby. Ciao, questa è la mia frittata. This is my version of Italian omelette and I use 2 eggs with Italian seasoning. If this makes it an Italian omelette. So forgive me for not giving any justice to this frittata. I'm just seasoning it with some salt and pepper. Pouring it directly to unheated oil in the pan. I told you I'm no expert at this. So I'ma just cook the eggs properly, flipping it over like an expert and giving it a good plating with more Italian seasoning. Questo è tutto. Bonjour, c'est mon omelette. This is my version of the smooth, fancy French omelette. To make this, you need about a tablespoon of butter, a little bit of white pepper, and some salt. Beating the eggs until it runs so smooth like water. We'll check that by lifting the egg with a fork and it falls with harmony. Yes. Using a non-stick skillet, I'm melting the butter in a low-medium heat. Because you don't want to burn it and we want to make a perfect French omelette here. You will know that the butter is ready when there are bubbles. When pouring the egg onto the butter, it shouldn't sizzle or we're doing it wrong, girl. And we'll let it sit for a couple of minutes until you feel that the side is cooked. You will know that when the edges are already forming and we don't want to burn it, so we'll be scraping it off with a rubber spatula and rolling it up to form it like this. This is the smoothest omelette ever. Can you not agree? And I want to make it look shinier by melting more butter on top, and to make it fancier, I'll be sprinkling this dried parsley on top. Look at that. 안녕하세요. 이것은 내 omelet입니다. I don't think I need to talk more about this omelet because it's the cutest ever. I know I am being biased here when I said it's cute and it's just a normal egg, but it is cute, isn't it? And I know you won't go against me either because I know you know how I feel right now because this is something about Korea. Or maybe you're having some violent reactions right now because maybe you're expecting this to be my top 5, but you haven't seen my top 1 yet, girl. I swear it is a no fail. And oh yeah, the omelette. Just roll your omelette up carefully until you finish that bowl of egg mixture, and you want to make sure that you chop your carrots finely because you don't want to break it like that. And I'm not giving up on this, girl. I am trying to spread the carrots here as nice as it gets, and I'm trying to cover that hole that I made, trying to roll the egg carefully so as not to break it anymore, but oops, I did it again. And I think it's gonna be just fine. It can go onto my plate right now. I don't even mind because it's really so hard to achieve, girl, but I made it. Yay! Hola, esta es mi tortilla. This is my version of Spanish omelette, and like all other omelettes, it is very easy. You'll just need a very thinly sliced potatoes and whatever kind of onions you have. It can be white, yellow, or red. Letting it caramelize before we add the potatoes over a medium heat, and we want to cook the potatoes and the onions together until it's soft. Letting it cool down in a bowl, and we'll be crackling 2 eggs right into that fried potatoes and onions, and we'll be incorporating everything. Not to forget the salt and pepper. We'll be mixing it and letting it sit for a good 15 minutes until you get this thick consistency before this mixture gets into that pan of hot oil for frying over a high heat. But careful not to burn it, and we'll be using this trick to flip the egg to the other side, and we'll be putting it right back into the pan to give our Spanish omelette a good fry. Look at that. Omelette. My very first try to cook an Indian food, and I must say it's a job well done. A cuisine that's full of spices and seasoning. Starting off by frying the chilies, of course. And if you're like me who doesn't eat too much spicy food, I guarantee that you can still try this. And then we'll put the red onions, and you can be as generous as you want. And next in there are chopped tomatoes. Conquering my fear of spicy food here, I'm putting in a good amount of chili powder and some chopped green bell pepper, or you can do red, whatever you like. And here goes all the spices: a 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder and a 1/4 teaspoon of cumin powder, or you can do curry powder. We will be mixing it all together, and before I forget, the coriander, which I honestly don't like how strong it tastes, so I only put about a teaspoon of that. And our masala is ready to be mixed in the eggs and the cheese. And if you want your masala to be a little saucier, you can do more tomatoes, or you can grate your tomatoes to get the juice out. And you can be more generous with the cheese because, girl, we're talking about cheese, right? And so we're letting it cook by putting the lid on. And here goes my not so expert egg flip again. Don't judge me. It's still egg. And ta-da! My Indian masala omelette. Mabuhay, tortang talong! Okay, don't hate me. I love being a Filipino. I love that I am a pure Filipino. I love my country. And this is actually one of my favorite Filipino dish. With lots of variations with omelette, I can say this is the best. But wait until you come down to my first on the list. For now, I will be broiling the eggplants through the oven because I cannot make fire and we don't have a griller, and I like the taste better than boiling it in the water. Do you agree with me? After peeling off its skin, you want to mash the eggplants first to make sure that it is clean and no worms inside and safe to be in your eggs. I just added a pre-cooked minced chicken, but if you have pork, beef, or shrimp, you can do so. And I'm getting better at cooking omelettes and even at flipping eggs. Look at that. I'm gonna give it a good pat. And presenting my tortang talong. Suadini Kokai Cho Kong Chan. I think this is the easiest, no nonsense Thai omelette. To make this omelette more authentic, you will need to use this Thai fish sauce. And this time, I want to make it like how the Thai street food vendors are doing it. Mixing in chopped carrots, green onions, and green chilies, and you're good to go. Can it be any simpler than this? 你好，这是我的煎蛋. I mean, who doesn't love the savory taste of Chinese food? The best thing about it is that it's not about strong seasoning and spices, but it's about how savory it is. It's so Asian. I'm using a good amount of minced chicken and shrimp, but having some pork here makes a lot of difference. You know what I mean? There goes my green onions, and I'm using my fingers because girl, no one is looking. And you cannot call it Chinese omelette without using a Chinese cabbage, right? If that even makes sense. When everything is mixed together, you want to put some oyster sauce to make it more Chinesey. Don't think that we are done yet because we are still about to put the eggs. Oh yes. And we're down to last two, presenting Afghanistan's omelette. I know it sounds difficult to do, but you will only need some diced potatoes, tomatoes, onions, coriander, green chilies, salt, and pepper. Because potatoes take the longest time to cook, you want to fry it first before the onions. Cook it a little bit more than expected until you think that potatoes are half cooked, and that's the time you put the tomatoes. Mixing it together so as not to burn it, and we'll be cooking it a little bit more but not to forget the salt and pepper, and that's the time we put the lid on, girl. If you feel that your potatoes are cooked already, you want to crack the egg in the middle and put the coriander and the green chili as well. Season with salt and pepper, and your Afghani's omelette is ready to serve. Marhaba, bu benim omletim. And on the top of my list is none other than the menemen, Turkish omelette. I am so happy with this. The ingredients are so simple, and at first I thought it's very complicated. But then I started to chop the green chili spontaneously, and that's when I started to shred the tomatoes using a grater like this. Then I found myself making this recipe. Okay, enough with my fascination. We're starting off with frying the chilies and adding more taste to it by about a tablespoon of butter, and we want to make sure that it's brown before we add in the tomatoes for the sauce. At this point, we want to season it with salt, pepper, and some chili flakes, and we will let it boil for a few minutes. And this is when we're gonna add any white cheese that you have. But if you have any feta cheese, that is the best choice. Crack the egg in the middle, spreading the yolk but not completely, because we're not making any scrambled egg here, girl. And you wanna cook it for a few more minutes, and ta-da! My very first try on the menemen. And they say it is best paired with bread, and I never regret it up to this very moment. You should try this, girl. I am telling you. And that ends my video. All the links from where I got the recipes are also in the description box. Let me know which omelette you're about to try and how it turned out. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.